You and perhaps the Attorney General. The Justice Department recently received a criminal referral against New York Attorney General Letitia James for fraud. We haven't heard much about it. Could you or the Attorney General give us an update as to what's going on with that investigation?
Well, I don't want to get involved in something that Pamela is involved with. If you'd like to say something, Pam, I can say unrelated to that. She's a disaster for New York. She's a horrible, horrible human being. And I think she's a total crook. There's no question about it. But that's just my opinion. Pam's going to have to do what she wants. She's a very bad person. She's a very, very bad person who campaigned solely on, I'm going to get Donald Trump over and over again. She's a sick person. But that's has nothing to do with what Pam does. Pam is going to do what's right. She always does. I've known her a long time. Yeah, go ahead, behind you.
Thank you. What's going on, everybody? Thank you all for joining me today. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel, and most importantly, please make sure that you are following me on Telegram at TD Media Group to help circumvent social media censorship and shadow banning. And with the introduction out of the way, let's get into today's news. And today we have to head back to New York to discuss who the Queen of New York, at least until that federal indictment comes down, Letitia James. Yes, the woman that is embattled. I love that word when I read articles. The embattled Attorney General. The embattled Attorney General of New York, Letitia James. Man, the hits just keep on coming because it looks like if that federal indictment comes down, which I believe it will, these things just take time. It's looking like now witnesses may be taking the stand, especially if this article reads out the way that I believe that it most likely will. Normally, I read these articles beforehand before I jump on and make videos about them, but I wanted us all to experience this simultaneously together, right? Because as you can see here, New York Attorney General Letitia James, Virginia mortgage document witnessed by top staff as federal investigation looms. So there are witnesses to this. We have multiple people in her staff who could potentially take the stand. Oh, Lord have mercy. This woman is cooked. And this federal indictment cannot come soon enough. Honestly, it cannot come soon enough. Let's jump into this article here. And it reads as such. Senior officials from Attorney General's office witnessed declaration during critical period before Trump fraud trial. When New York Attorney General James signed a sworn legal document declaring her intent to make a Virginia home her principal residence, she wasn't alone. Two senior officials from her own office, including her first deputy general, acted as witnesses, raising critical ethical and legal questions about her state resources, residency qualifications, and misuse of official authority. These staffers will likely face interviews as federal authorities investigate potential mortgage fraud. This declaration came just 45 days before James launched her landmark civil fraud case against Donald Trump and would have required her to establish Virginia residency during the trial. Let's scroll down just a little bit more. The document in question, a specific power of attorney signed on August 17 of 2023, contained this unambiguous statement. I hereby declare that I intend to occupy this property as my principal residence. This was no routine witness of a signature. Jennifer Levy, James' first deputy attorney general and lead attorney in the Trump civil fraud case. Can we read that one more time? Jennifer Levy, James's first deputy attorney general and lead attorney in the Trump civil fraud case, signed as a witness to the document. So while they were in the middle of waging lawfare against President Trump, they were signing documents knowing good and well that Letitia James was not going to be using the Virginia property as her primary resident while being a witness to that very document saying that she would be. My, how the tables have turned in such a beautiful way. The second witness, Sir Sharona Parchment, okay, also works for the AG's office. Both listed New York addresses, but witnessed a document containing a declaration that could legally undermine James's status as a New York resident. Unlike typical transactions where neutral parties serve as witnesses, James relied on her own government legal team. These weren't notaries at a closing. They were senior AG staff swearing to a document that enabled their boss's private mortgage. The financial benefits were substantial: lower interest rates, minimal down payments versus the higher requirements for investment properties, more favorable debt to income ratios, and less stringent underwriting standards. These people were witnesses to all of this. Additionally, James did not disclose this mortgage on her 2023 New York financial disclosure forms. I wonder why. Despite state ethics laws requiring the reporting of such liabilities, this omission raises questions about compliance with federal disclosure requirements. Why the secrecy? I mean, these folks really hate being transparent. I find it very strange that it's always DNC lunatics who have issues with transparency. The Virginia Declaration fits an unmistakable pattern. At her Brooklyn property, James repeatedly listed a legally classified 5-unit building as having 4, 3, or even as few as 1 family units. Wow, this woman is dishonest. Each misrepresentation enabled access to more favorable mortgage terms unavailable to properties with 5 or more units classified as commercial under federal lending rules. Senior staff involvement, documented facts. Let's get into this next. The involvement of Jennifer Levy is especially significant. As first Deputy Attorney General and a key figure in the Trump fraud case, her presence as a witness on this document is a matter of public record. The official records show that Levy and Parchment witnessed James's signature on the power of attorney. As witnesses, their role was to verify that James signed the document. The witnessing of a signature is a standard legal formality that establishes the authenticity of the signer's identity. The following facts are documented in the public record. Official capacity: both witnesses were employees of the New York Attorney General's office. Document content: the power of attorney contained a clear declaration of intent to make Virginia the principal residence. Public filing: the document was notarized and filed as part of the mortgage transaction. And New York addresses: both witnesses provided their New York addresses on the document. The power of attorney and its implications. Let's get into this now. The power of attorney authorizes James's relative, Shamise Thompson Hairston, to act on her own behalf in purchasing Sterling Street in Norfolk, Virginia. The property was purchased for $240,000 with a $219,708 mortgage on August 30th of 2023. The mortgage required both James and Thompson Hairston to make the property their principal residence within 60 days of closing by approximately October 30th of 2023 and maintain it for at least 1 year. Attorney Abby Lowe's defense claims the principal resident declaration was simply a mistake. It was a oopsies. And it looks like Abby Lowell, and for those of you who don't know, many of you know already, but for those of you who don't know, Abby Lowell was also the attorney for Hunter Biden. Remember, Hunter Biden lost his federal gun charge case and then ended up pleading guilty to the tax fraud that he engaged in. I shouldn't say tax fraud, but tax evasion. So I don't know why you would make this guy your attorney. And it shows that now that this was a mistake, because his defense seemingly for everything concerning this mortgage fraud, alleged mortgage fraud, is oopsies. Literally, everything was just oopsies. It was a mistake. Anyways, the article continues to read, however, this ignores a crucial reality. The power of attorney wasn't some peripheral document. It was the legal linchpin that enabled the mortgage transaction to close. This document was sworn and notarized, explicit in its principal residence declaration, recorded with the mortgage, and never corrected or amended in any way. Most critically, this power of attorney was the basis of the entire mortgage underwriting. The loan terms explicitly require both James and her relative to establish the property as their principal residence within 60 days of closing by approximately October 30th of 2023. The financial institution relied on these specific occupancy declarations to approve the loan. That's why this is such a big deal, further undermining any claims of genuine resident intent. Neither James nor her co-borrower ever filed a homestead exemption for the Sterling Street property, despite this being a standard protective measure that any Virginia homeowner would typically pursue. Now let's get into the segment here called "The Timing Raises Further Questions." August 17th of 2023, James signs the power of attorney declaring intent to make the Virginia property her principal residence, witnessed by two AG staff members. October 2nd of 2023, Trump fraud trial begins in Manhattan with James as the central figure. October 30th of 2023, according to mortgage terms, James was required to be living in Virginia. Between August and October of 2023, James appeared in press conferences, court filings, and official functions across New York. There is no public record of any move to Virginia. Throughout this period, public records and appearances show James remained in New York, actively performing her duties as Attorney General. This creates an apparent contradiction between her sworn declarations and her actions. This contradiction is now part of an active federal investigation. On April 14th of 2025, the Federal Housing Financial Agency formally referred James to the Department of Justice for potential mortgage fraud and perjury, based in part on this declaration. Federal investigators will likely examine all aspects of the transaction, including, number one, the setting where the document was signed, number two, the witness's formal role in the transaction, number three, how the power of attorney was used in securing the mortgage, and number four, whether proper boundaries between personal and official matters were maintained. And the article will go on to end on this note here. When the state's top law enforcement office blurs the lines between personal gain and public duty, it doesn't just erode public trust, it invites potential criminal liability. Yeah. So it just keeps getting worse for Big Tish. It really does. Because now it looks like we have witnesses and they were working for her. Not only were they working for her, one of the women was a lead attorney on the lawfare that they waged against Trump in the fraud trial, right? So, man, things are getting really bad for this woman. And I suspect that sometime in the near future, these women will be interviewed. I don't know if it's going to make big news. I would assume that it will, because if you go back to when Eric Adams, before his federal indictment came down, there were multiple FBI raids on multiple homes of staffers and those that were a part of Eric Adams' reelection campaign. There were multiple raids on these homes where they were seizing all type of, electronics and documents, and asking these people questions and interviewing them. And it was a big deal when this stuff was happening. I would assume that it's going to be a deal to a lesser degree concerning mainstream media, because obviously the DNC press isn't going to cover this. Only essentially we will, and Fox News and New York Post and whatnot. But to the degree that this information is made public, when these interviews come down by the feds to these women, I'm going to make sure to talk about it here. But man, oh man, it's looking bad, and looking good if you're us, right? Because, at the end of the day, like she said, no one is above the law, not even Big Tish. Okay. So with all that being said, that does it for today's news. Thank you guys for joining me today. Please hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. Share this video on your social media platforms. And also do not forget to follow me on Telegram at TD Media Group. The link to my Telegram is in the description box below and pinned in the comment section as well. Thank you all for your time. And to the next video, peace and have a great afternoon.